Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. This is Stacy. Today I'm doing a follow-up video to our stamp wars that we just had this past Saturday. And I also wanted to let you know that we will be doing a giveaway as always, and the winners will be announced live on Nancy Stamps this coming Saturday, October 31st. Yep, that's Halloween. And in order to enter the giveaway, I would like you to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and also leave a comment below on what you are thankful for this season. And be sure to check out the other participants from this last Stamp Wars, which would be Ryan, Chow, and Tracy, and I'll be sure to link their YouTube channels in the description below. All right, let's get started. So the sponsor for this last Stamp Wars was Technique Junkies, and they provided us with this gorgeous stamp set. It's called Autumn Frame Sentiments, and it comes with this beautiful leaf frame, and then it's also got these big scripty sentiments. I love big scripty sentiments, so I really do enjoy this set. Then we also got a stencil, which normally is white, but I've used it a few times already. It's a skeleton leaf stencil, and it's from A Colorful Life Designs, and it's a 6x6 stencil. And then we also got this Shimmer Bliss Harvest Sunset Spritz Spray, and it's very just oodles of shimmer and mica. It's gorgeous. So our rules for this last challenge was that we had to use the stencil. We had to use one item from here, from the set, and we had to use the shimmer spray. But then we also had to do watercoloring of some sort. So we had to like lay down some type of watercolor using an actual brush. And so this is the actual card that I ended up making for Stamp Wars. And the way that it was done is I have the watercoloring I used was Arteza metallic watercolors, and I laid it down and I did Joseph's Coat technique. So I laid down the watercolors in like fall colors, and then I did clear embossing with the sentiment and the leaf borders. And then I went over it with like a dark brown to get this look. And then this is like a coral piece of cardstock, and then the stencil was used on the back here and also here. And then, well, that was pretty much everything we had to do. So this is my card. I think it turned out pretty good. But today I'm going to show you a quick and easy card that's going to just be a one layer card. So we're going to be using the stencil. We're going to be using the shimmer spray. We're going to be using the leaf, the two leaf frames, and then we're also going to be using the Thankful. So I'm going to just pull these off. I'm going to set this aside. We're going to be using Catherine Pooler Midnight ink for the sentiment. We're going to be using Memento ink for the placement of the sentiment, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then we're going to need a piece of clear acetate for the placement of the sentiment. And then, like I said, we'll be using these. And then I'm also going to be using the Hero Arts ombres. All three of these are ombres. They're very nice fall colors. So you have this one, which is Serengeti Sunset. This one, which is Lime to Forever Green. And this one, which is Soft Brown to Cupo Joe. And then the paper I'm going to be using is going to be the Hanson watercolor paper. And it comes in a 9x12 sheet, so when you cut it into fours, it's a pretty good size. So I'm going to cut this down really quick because I want it to be a matted piece. I'm going to mat it onto just a black card base. So I want this to be 5 1/4 by 4. All right. So I have my Misty, and I have my Sizzix sticky grid down here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this in the corner. Oops. I need to double check. I want to put this on the smooth side. Okay. There's two different sides to the watercolor paper. So this is the rough side. I want the smooth side. So I'm going to put that in here. Set those aside. And we're going to place these. I want them to go right on the edge. I'll just center it. Right on the edge. Oh, and I did forget, there is one other ink I'm going to use. Let me grab that really quick. I'm going to be using Distress Walnut Stain, and you'll see why in a minute, so I'll set that aside. Okay, so these are centered and they're right on the edges. For the most part, this one can go up a little bit more. Okay, pick those up. I've already removed the insert out of the Misty because these are red rubber stamps. And so I'm going to use, we're going to do the ombres. So an ombre ink pad, the Hero Arts ombre ink pad. Let me show you the orange one. It's much easier to see the different colors. So you've got 3 separate strips. And what I have a tendency to do is when I lay this down, I'll shift it ever so slightly so that you kind of overlap and you don't see these, gaps between the stamp pads. So let's do the orange first. I'm going to do the oranges on the end over here and the end over here. So I'm just slightly moving it back and forth. Okay, and then we're going to let's do the green in the middle. You want to overlap a little bit what you just laid down. And then I'm going to do the brown on the other ends, opposite ends. Okay, and then we're going to lay this down. And I'm going to use just microfiber towel that I use to wipe my stamps down, clean my stamps. Gorgeous. All right. So then we're going to take this out. And that looks very vibrant. I love the colors of those ink pads. And we're going to go ahead and set this aside. And then the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to get my splat box. And we're going to use the stencil. And I'm just going to lay the stencil down. I have a little bit of pixie spray left on the back of it, so I'm hoping that it'll stick down a little bit. And then I'm going to shake this up. You don't want to shake it up and down because it'll cause mica to go up into the straw and it'll clog your spray. And so what you want to do is either swirl it, or I usually just whack it on my hand and back, up and down until all of it's mixed in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spritz this on here because I just want the general design. And take that off, set that aside. And then I'm going to dab this up a tiny bit to get some of the excess off. And then I'm going to use my Ranger Heated tool. And this is a very low flow but a high heat tool. So it dries very well and it doesn't really push like your ink around or anything like that. And the paper will flatten back out as it dries. And it'll even curl up again. But you just flip that over and you give it a little heat and it'll flatten right back out again. All right. Just like that. And let's get rid of a little speck over here. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our sentiment. So because this is a red rubber stamp, you can't really see through it like you can with a photopolymer stamp. And so what you want to do, I'm going to lay my paper in here. Doesn't want to lay flat necessarily because my sticky grid is not that sticky. So we'll use the magnet for that. And then we are going to lay down a piece of acetate. Just something big enough that'll protect it. That protects your panel. And then I'm going to use the Memento because the Midnight is an archival ink and it's a great ink for going over, other inks and stuff, but I'm afraid it'll be a pain in the butt to clean my acetate. So I'm going to use the Memento because this is just a dye-based ink and it's very easy to wipe off. So what we're going to do then is, you know, I can't see through this. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to line it up exactly right. So I'm going to do the best I can based on, this is the bottom of it. It's pretty straight. So if I line that up straight, it should be straight. So we're just going to go with that. So I'm going to center it, top to bottom, left to right. Pick that up. I'm going to ink it up with the Memento. I have a handle. Where's my handle? It's on the back of my Midnight. This is handy dandy handle from Blue Night Rubber Stamps. I love this because it's a very thin ink pad, so it's very easy to drop or lose grip. And so this little handle is fantastic. And I don't need a lot of ink. I just put a lot more on there than I should have, but it's okay. Just want enough on there to be able to see. And I think that looks perfect. So we're going to go with it. So I just want to remove the acetate, and I can just go ahead and wipe that off with some water. Wipes right off, and it's ready to be used again. And then I'm going to clean this off just so that I don't have inks cross-contaminating or anything like that. Okay, and you can buy these extra plates. You can buy the handle and the extra plates at BlueNightRubberStamps.com. And you can put them on all sizes of ink pads. There's a universal, which is this one, and then there is the classic one, which is a little bit bigger. And that's the one I have on my VersaFine Clair. So those fit on like the bigger square pads, and then this universal one fits on every ink pad, including like the Catherine Pooler or the oval pads. Okay, so we're going to be doing the archival, the Midnight. So I'm going to ink this up. Beautiful. The other thing too is the archival doesn't play well with photopolymer stamps. It has a tendency to dye your stamps and make them difficult to see through. So I don't use the archival on those stamps, but it does not do so much damage to red rubber stamps. It actually wipes off fairly easy off the red rubber stamps. And I'm going to just do a few layers because I do want this to be black as black. Midnight black, preferably. I still have some of the shimmer spray shining through, which is fine, but let's do one more. And I think that's going to be enough. And that is beautiful. I actually kind of like it with the shimmer spray shining through it. That looks cool. Okay, so the last thing, let me clean this stamp off really quick. I don't want to close it with that in there. And as you can see, the Midnight comes right off. It will not do this on an acrylic or a photopolymer stamp though, so be very careful. And they are sponge pads, so you just need a very light touch. And it does dry fairly quickly. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is, let me get my base. So I'm going to use a black base. Let's fold this over. Just a simple, this is Himilco paper off Amazon. I think it's 80 pound. I usually like 100 pound for my bases, but I don't think I can find 100 pound in this black. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a nice little Ryan's touch. I learned it from him and I do appreciate it. I do like it. So I'm going to just go around the edges with brown distress ink. So this is a dye-based ink, so I can use my Color Family brown. And I'm just going to go around the edge and just give it a nice, what does he call it, a vignette look. Just brings your attention to the center more. So if you missed the Stamp Wars that we just did this last Saturday, be sure to go to Nancy Stamp's YouTube channel. We actually have a poll up there right now with our cards from the Stamp Wars, and you can vote. It's on her community tab, and you can vote for your favorite card from the Stamp Wars show, contest. I don't know what you want to call it. It's kind of like a show. It's very entertaining. We have a blast. It is a competition between us, what we call the FSC, the Foiling Snobs Club design team. And that is myself, Nancy, and Tracy, who are the creators of the Foiling Snobs Club. And then Chow and Ryan. We're all of the admins and or what you would call the design team. And we have a blast competing against each other to make cards, or mostly, yeah, we've done cards. I don't think we've done anything that's not a card yet. And I say yet because you never know, because we never know what we're going to get. It's always sent to us in a sealed envelope, and we don't open it until the day that we go live. And I mean, like on the live, and you will see the expressions on our faces. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? How am I going to make a card out of this? What am I going to do? And then also we get thrown sabotages. So that's the fun part too, is you never know what kind of sabotage you're going to get. Last sabotage we had was we had to play bingo. So be sure to go watch it. It's a blast. It really is. I love it. And we have so much fun. And we're all winners. We just absolutely love it. So this is my nice single layer, 1-layer card. And now I'm going to throw some of my Barely Art glue on the back of this. This is a nice sturdy paper because it is watercolor paper. I wanted to make sure whatever I threw at it, mostly the spray, I just wanted the spray to be good. Hold up against the spray. So I'm going to center this on here. And the trick that I do, I've learned from so many different card makers, is if you look at this side and you just basically make sure that it's an even distance on these these two corners, basically, then it'll line up. Just make sure that your distance is the same, this side, and this side, and then everything else will line up. And so I'm just going to put that down really quick. And if you guys want to check out or join the Foiling Snobs Club, it is a Facebook group, and you just go to facebook.com/Foiling Snobs Club, and you can join. There's just a few questions that we ask you to answer, and mainly we just ask you to follow the rules and be nice to one another. And so that's it. That is your single layer thankful card. I think it turned out wonderful. And you can go ahead and add, I usually just add like a white piece of cardstock in here, make it, the same size as this layer so that you can write on it. But I think that's a gorgeous card. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked my video, please hit the like button. And also, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified whenever I post another video, please be sure to hit the bell. And I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.